Okay, next up we have Simone Parker, who's a non-executive director and senior agribusiness consultant with Bush Agribusiness. She's got decades of experience across Northern Australia. She specialises in family business strategy, governance and performance improvement, and she understands the unique overlap of work, life and family within beef businesses. And she's passionate about helping businesses succeed through strong strategies, positive cultures and measurable performance. Could you please welcome Simone Parker.
Firstly, thank you to the NTCA for inviting me to speak this afternoon, and a very big, well-deserved thank you to all of you for sticking it through to the last session of the day. Even though we're here to talk about better beef business, and this is something that Bush Agribusiness is probably particularly known for, I promise not to bombard you with facts or lots of data, but I may have a little challenge for you at the end. So to start, I want to acknowledge that the Territory and particularly the industry holds a very special place in my heart, and saying that always makes my voice waver just a little bit. But I'm actually a Territorian by birth and a Queenslander by marriage. So in various ways, both the Territory and the industry are written into my history, and it's something that I'm very pleased to come back to. Today we're talking about better beef business and why it's important, not just for the bottom line, but for the flow-on effects to the other aspects of the lives of you and the people around you. Now, I think if I do that, here we go. Because this is the reality. There are very few other situations where business, family, work and community intersect and overlap as completely as they do in a northern beef business. Home, work and family aren't separate. They're inextricably linked. And that's the case both in family businesses and also in corporate situations. This is what we really love about the industry and why we choose to live and work where we do. The overlap is what makes the industry unique, but it also is what makes it challenging. Throw in some extra elements like fire or more recently flood, and this situation is heightened, both on the positive and on the negative. So what I guess I'm saying here is that it stands to reason that if we can achieve a better beef business, we can improve the other aspects of our lives that overlap with the business, like better relationships, some peace of mind, more clarity, and a sense of control. My genuine belief is that if we can improve our beef business and build a better beef business, we're also building our best life. I often hear people describe lifestyle and legacy as two of the main reasons they're so invested in their beef business. And these are incredibly special and they're worth investing in. But they can come with a lot of responsibility and a lot of aspects to manage. As Thomas Watson said, to be successful, you have to have your heart in your business. But we also need to make sure that the business doesn't consume or overwhelm us. Because often it can feel like this. It's a really complex system and there's a lot going on. We're desperately trying to keep a dozen plates spinning all at once. There's things like capital and risk and land management and production and people. And we're hoping that today is the day that we can still keep them all spinning in the air and not one of them crashes. We get so busy spinning the plates that we don't have the time or the perspective to check in with ourselves to see if there might be a better way. At Bossy Agribusiness, our purpose is to inform the business decisions of Australia's leading beef producers. We have the incredible privilege of working with some really high-performing beef businesses, and we've observed some of the things that they do differently. They understand that success isn't an accident, and it's by design. We've summarised these into 3 main focus areas and some practical applications of these, because if they're not practical applications, then they're just not going to happen. Some of you may be sitting there in your chair thinking that building a better beef business will be hard for you or difficult, or that there's various reasons why you might not be able to do it, including maybe the corporate structure that you work under, some tricky family dynamics, or just be too busy spinning your own plates to be able to take on anything else. So I'm hoping to give you some practical, simple examples to make this possible to do, no matter where you're starting or how small a step that you take. The truth is, and it's no secret, that none of this is rocket science or a silver bullet. Sometimes all it takes is some outside perspective and a reminder to focus on what's really important in a really busy world. I'm a pretty clumsy person. I was particularly nervous about climbing those steps, so I can't help you with your plate spinning skills. But I can try and limit the number of plates that you have in the air at any one time and give you some practical tools to address them. We focus on 3 main spinning plates. It's strategy, it's culture, and it's performance. And like in the diagram, they all overlap and they intersect, and they're all pretty important for success. By intentionally designing your business around these 3 areas, you're not only improving your bottom line, but you'll also improve other aspects of those things that overlap, like clarity, a sense of control, peace of mind, and probably the most important of all, enjoyment. So we're going to have a look at them one by one. The first one is strategy, and strategy is your path. It's about defining where you're headed in the long term and making a series of decisions that choose what game you're going to play and how you're going to win. It's fuzzy around the edges to start with, but it does become clearer over time with some more focus. A strategy is not a plan. I want to be really clear about that. It's a set of decisions that you make from the questions that you ask yourself. Then it can inform some of the plans that you make. So a strategy does not need to be a long-winded document. Strategy might also sound scary or complicated, but it's really not. If we break it down, it doesn't have to be, a very in-depth, lots of elements strategy like you would find, say, Mick Crowley talking about MLA strategy this morning. So it's about asking yourself questions like, why are we doing this? What do we want to achieve? How do we want to work together? And what can we be the best at? It's also not enough just to ask yourself those questions and keep them spinning around in your head. If you can document them in a way that you can communicate that with the others around you, you can get them on board with your strategy. You'll know when you have it right because it can be the filter for future decisions that you have to make. So for example, is this new shiny object or opportunity going to take me closer to or further away from what I've said, the direction that we're heading? Some of you in the room may not have the opportunity or the responsibility to design the strategy, but you can definitely take the time to find out what it is and understand your role in it. If you're in a position where your strategy is handed to you, Work out how you can make it happen to the best of your ability. If you can't, or it doesn't inspire you, maybe it's time to find another path. Because working on something that you believe in and can get behind is one of the most rewarding things, and we all want that. So to achieve some kind of documented strategy, we've used a process to get to the important high-level aspects of strategy in the businesses we've worked with. By having it clearly displayed on one page and sticking it up all over the place, even the back of the toilet door, makes sure that it's front of mind all the time. Everybody understands why the business has chosen this path and where we're all headed. Think of it as your roadmap. So the vision is the point that you're aiming for. The values are the things that keep you on track. Your purpose is why you're in this business to start with, and your goals are what needs to be done to get there. Then you can make some plans against that strategy. The next element, or the second one, is culture. And culture is the engine of your business, or the beating heart, hence the red beating circle. It's things like shared values and beliefs and behaviours. It's how we work together, and it's what makes the business tick. On first glance, it might seem like the airy-fairy element, but strong cultures need to be lived, breathed, and practically implemented every day. Strong positive cultures show up as things like trust and respect and understanding each other. If you don't intentionally create and live your culture every day, you may inadvertently find that one has been created for you, and it may be less than ideal. No matter how great your strategy is, it will fail or fall over if the culture doesn't support it. Imagine what could be achieved if everybody's energy, focus, and attention was directed to what's most important. All of these dogs have individual personalities, strengths and weaknesses, but they all understand the rules and they work together to achieve the job that they're focused on. I'm going to add the words most of the time. Strong culture needs work, and these are some areas that we've worked with beef businesses on before. Documenting clear roles and responsibilities where they don't exist. Putting in a structure of regular meetings so that we have opportunity to constructively communicate. And getting an understanding of ourselves and each other through things like DISC personality types. The third element is performance. And I guess this is, if you know Bush Agribusiness or have heard of us before, this is usually where we operate. Performance is your proof. This is about knowing how we're travelling and whether we're achieving what we set out to do. It shows us where our strengths are and where we need to improve. It's the data that tells us whether the strategy is working or whether we need to recalibrate along the way. Having clear performance proof means that you can communicate this to the others around you. It requires regular check-ins, measuring, and making adjustments along the way. This really is the basis for informed discussion at a high level and informed decision-making about whether we're achieving what we set out to do. In our work, we have significant data on the financial and herd performance of beef businesses. We measure what matters, and we focus on the fundamental aspects of performance. This helps to track progress and eliminate any distractions. So in the long term, we've found that better performers generate more income per animal, they have targeted herd expenditure, better labour efficiency, and they maintain a lower cost of production. They're also really consistent about doing that. Like I said before, none of this is rocket science, and you may already be intuitively or intentionally doing a lot of this in your own business. But sometimes I think it's worth taking a step back to say, where are we? How are we doing? Have we got all of these elements covered off? And where do we need to rebalance or put some more focus? In this example, we've got a lack of attention and focus on poor old culture, which is shoved over to the corner. We've also got a disconnected strategy and performance. So it's worth checking in every now and again to see where you are performing well or where you might need to focus against these three areas. On a slightly different topic, but incredibly related, succession is a big topic in our industry, and the stats about how many businesses manage to transition to the next generation are pretty sobering. Thankfully, I think the industry is dealing with succession in a more proactive and productive way, but it is a really big topic and it can be often fraught. Originally, when I was approached to do this session, it was to be wholly focused on succession. But to me, succession isn't a standalone event. It's a management transition plan that must align with your overall strategy. It must be built on a strong culture, and it must be informed by the current and potential performance of the business. Succession is also a never-ending process. You're either in it, you've just been through it, or you're being prepared for it. If you're clear on your strategy, you have a culture of open and transparent communication, you're keen on developing people, and you're focused on having a high-performing business, succession, or just the transfer of management, will be much more successful. I want to be really clear, though, too, that succession doesn't just apply to family businesses. In fact, it happens much more often in corporate structures. I'm involved in a couple of boards, and we spend a significant amount of time talking about and planning for the succession of key people. This is about developing people for roles that they're not quite ready to take on yet, and having plans in place to leave the knowledge, the skills, and the history behind the decisions that were made when people move on. Imagine if this could be clearly based on an agreed strategy, a strong culture, and known performance. This is what a better beef business looks like or has in place. These three focus areas are designed to cut through that overwhelm of all the spinning plates at once. It lets you see what the top performers are doing consistently to be better in business. It does, though, take time and intention. Don't let the fact that it may take time stop you from getting started. Start where you are, do what you can, and use what you have. It may not be perfect to start with, but it will be momentum in the right direction. Start small and be consistent. There is absolutely no point leaving here today and going home with a full head of steam and telling everybody that you're going to start having weekly meetings and then give up after one. It may not be easy, but it really is worth it. By intentionally building a better business around these three pillars, you can improve your bottom line and the other interlinked aspects of yours and the lives of the people around you. So I have a little challenge for you to start somewhere and do something, however small. Before you get back to your business and your incredibly busy life, I want you to identify and write down these 3 things. It can be in the car on the way home or in the plane. One action that you're going to start doing after this conference. One that's working well currently and that you want to continue to do. And one that you can or you really should stop. Because to change the result, we need to change what we do. So in summary, and before we wrap up today, improving in these 3 focus areas will benefit not just your business, and you'll be able to build a better beef business, but it will improve the other aspects of your life that is so inextricably linked to it. The top performers design their business around strategy, culture, and performance, and there are practical steps that you can take to create a better beef business, no matter how small that you start. It really has been my pleasure to talk to you about better beef businesses today. If you need some help implementing any of those 3 focus areas in your business, or getting moving on your stop, start, or continue items, please reach out. I really would love to help. Thank you.